sins of the past. You're not focused on it. You're completely focused on the presence of God because you don't have the weakness of regret, the weakness of guilt, the weakness of grief, and all that stuff. Because you have a renewed body, you have a glorified body. But Jesus, in his glorified body state, still had the holes in his hands, the scars, all of that. That's what tattoos are, man. They're scars just with ink. So I really do think that we'll have our tattoos in heaven. Also in Isaiah, I think it's in Isaiah twice, or it's Isaiah and Ezekiel, God talks about having us engraved on his palms. Like he cut it into his palms, into his hands. So if God has it and glorified body Jesus has it, and we still have all of our memories,
see, that's the thing is
erased. And I can see it going both ways. I'm just saying that I think that we'll still have.
Well, this is the back pew, right? And we're not a Bible school nor a pastor, right?
Correct.
Right. So
Correct.
So always
pastor back pew.
Yeah, definitely pass judgment on the back pew if you want, but here's the thing. I'm not so sure we're right about that. I think maybe Jesus, whenever he didn't have, whenever in the Bible, what Ethan is referring to, if you're not sure, is whenever Jesus shows up. Like if you know the story of what they always call doubting Thomas, right? He showed doubting Thomas that he still had the holes in his hands, right? Because he was doubting that Jesus was alive and indeed alive. And so, I agree, but I think. Maybe I'm mixing two different stories here, but they wouldn't allow him to see him, or did he tell Thomas to touch him?
He did.
He did tell.
Told Thomas. It was Mary Magdalene that he told not to touch him.
Yeah, because he didn't have his body yet. Okay. So anyway, I don't know, but here's another reason, right? Because I was going to refute it with that, and I like this conversation, so let's hang here because I don't know. These are the things that I want to have on the show, because these are the conversations that one of the things that we talked about saying is having the conversations on the Back Pew podcast that you're not having in church, right? Is we just want to have a safe space for us to be able to really question things, not for the sake of cynicism, but just to be able to hash things out, right? And kind of break it down and unpack stuff. So that's our intention. But, the thing is I was going to question, like you said, some of our scars we would have. But see, I just would imagine, right? I know that you're a man that really respects, that you love America, right? And I know you respect the military. So whenever you were talking, for whatever reason, I had this image of a military man that maybe had his arm blown off or his leg blown off. I just would imagine whenever he gets to heaven, God restores him. So if God would restore him, well, I don't know why he wouldn't restore these other things.
And that's a good question. I think the difference would be that if he's missing something, because through salvation, sozo, it means that you're whole.
Nothing
that word
missing,
salvation,
nothing broken.
Nothing missing, nothing broken. A scar isn't so much broken as it is a marker of something that was broken. Sure. So I feel like if a dude has his arms or legs blown off, or even those people that are referred to in Revelation as the martyrs when their heads are cut off, they're beheaded. That they'll be restored. There's a mark, and that's just how I look at it. That's how I picture it. That's how people have imaged it to me when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So my idea that the tattoos will stick it just kind of follows that line. I actually pulled out my Bible right now to see if in Revelation, when John saw him, if he mentions whether or not he had the holes in his hands and his feet, but it doesn't. It just describes him. It just describes his eyes and his hair and his feet and all that stuff.
Eyes of fire, or all that iron, feet.
Feet, yeah.
Super prophetic in imagery.